on Disrupt Boston, on the Young Jurks Canine Show. I'm Carmelita.
I'm Rocco.
There you go. And we've never done this before. This is our very first time. So bear with us. But I think it'll be fine. We're not here for us. We are here for the canines, as Rocco would always say. And I agree. We are on the Young Jurks Show here on Disrupt Boston from Down the Road Beer Company in Everett, Mass. And we want to thank Mike Crawford of the Young Jurks, Brian Murphy, and Michael Dubé of Disrupt Boston, and of course Down the Road Beer Company for allowing us this what we consider to be an important segment today. And I think most people who love canines and care about the well-being of dogs would agree with us. And we'll go on. We'll move on with more of that in a few moments. Right now, I'm going to introduce Rocco. Rocco is the owner and canine behaviorist of Canine Castle on the North Shore of Massachusetts, in case you're listening from abroad. And I'm Carmelita from WAAF Boston. I've done local music for many years, but I'm also a co-owner of Love Your Dog Marblehead. And both of us have worked with dogs and love dogs most of our lives. Rocco is the actual professional. He is the expert in dog training. Michael and I, Michael of the Young Jurks and myself, have done years of rescue and fostering, and we know some behavioral techniques, but not what Rocco knows. Rocco is the most sought after dog behaviorist on the North Shore, and that's what our show is about tonight, is about addressing your needs as dog owners and providing an education on kind of the basic outline of what dog ownership is all about and what dogs are all about, and mainly not just working or training dogs, but mostly people. And educating humans who choose to have dogs and want dogs that are a joy to be around, or are not, don't have behavioral problems, or don't have anything that can't be worked on. And that's pretty much the intro. Rocco and I got to know each other through a dog that we were fostering, a young Pekingese named Charlie. Charlie was a biter. Even the rescue was having trouble. They could not find fosters for him. He was pretty much out of control, and he was heading down. He was heading towards he had a bite history, so he was heading towards the euthanization.
Say it like it is. He was on death row.
He was on death row. He was going to die. And Michael and I took him in. We fostered him. It was pretty much undoable for us. We had never worked with a dog this damaged. We brought Rocco in, and Rocco actually worked miracles with Charlie. He's still a work in process. We encourage people not to reach out and try to grab him. He's got a deep history of abuse and neglect. In fact, he was abandoned. We're going to bring Charlie in right now to join us. You can meet him.
Hurry up. Get up here. Get up here.
That's Charlie.
Say hi to everybody. Come on. You're the star of the show. And Carmelita and I have decided that Charlie's going to be the mascot for this show and whatever might come of it after this. This is the reason why we came together, and we're hoping that information that we have for you and that we share with you will be helpful for you and your dog. We're hoping to use this medium to get word out, maybe about some legislation, some other things. Charlie, sit.
Charlie's excited. He's overstimulated. We are. We've just
He's
passed
doing
through.
He's doing good, boy.
We've passed through a lot of people and dogs, and he's in a unknown, a strange environment. So he's a little bit hyped.
Since this is the reason why we came together, we thought the first order of business should be introducing you to Charlie. And he's a good boy. He's never been on TV before that we know of. There might be a mugshot or two about him out there, but he's a very good dog. And he's come such a long way. And since this is what brought us together, and we have this medium afforded to us thanks to Michael, whose dog this also is, who you can't see right now, but is standing over there about to take his dog back. Call him, Mike.
Charlie's going back to his dad, Mike, who is the host of the Young Jurks.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
So that was Charlie. He's going to be the star. He's going to be the mascot, and he's the reason why we came together. So that blessing was brought to us, and we're going to take full advantage of it to help everybody who needs help with their dog, or just giving you information you might not know about your dog.
And that's basically what the show is about. I think that all of us have been in that place at one point or another in our life where we've adopted a dog, taken a dog in, and we bit off more than we could chew. The dog wasn't a dog that we had experienced in the past. Maybe the dog was a biter. Maybe the dog was a house marker, untrained.
Sometimes it's just too much energy.
Or
People don't get the dog that's right for them. They don't expect what they got. Then they feel that they need to either tolerate the dog for years and years and years, or give the dog back to a rescue, give it away, sometimes worse. I mean, people just bring it into a woods and drop them off. Who knows? Leave them in the middle of a city and drop them off. It's terrible.
Exactly. And that's what the first part of our show is going to be today in our topic discussions. Choosing the right dog. What to do if your dog goes missing will be a later segment of the show today. And if we have time, we may discuss some other political lobbying interests that folks may have. We chose do not adopt lists for abusers and chronically neglectful adopters and hoarders, and selling only rescues in pet stores. Those are kind of popular things, and that's actually happening in California. That's been passed. But right now, we both agree the most important topic is choosing the right dog. This is basic. You want a dog. You're going to the rescue place or even a breeder to get a breed that you've dreamt about having for a long time. Is it the right dog for you? And Rocco, can you perhaps talk to us about actual experiences you've had where the wrong dogs have been chosen?
As you can imagine, I deal with probably 100, well, I don't know if it's fair to put a number on it, but quite a few families a year that have gotten the wrong dog. And I always, whenever anybody's talking to me about getting a dog before they've got a dog, I ask them to either bring me in or some other professional that they can talk to that can help them through it, to point out things about their lifestyle that they need to know that dog is going to be a part of. Unless you're just bringing a dog in for a showpiece, which we see all the time, it's the in dog, or some kid has a puppy and your kid wants the same puppy, so you go and get it. Or you've interacted with the dog at your brother's house, at a friend's house in the neighborhood. It's a great dog. So you think about getting one of those for yourself. But you have to remember that the environment that dog is living in is different than your dog. So that breed might not be right for your dog. I see it all the time, especially where we come from. Yeah. It's a shame, but people get together. There's groups of friends and things, and they all end up with the same breed or some variation of the same breed. And just because it's right for one is not right for another. A dog is a product of their environment. Charlie became a product of his environment because of the abuse, neglect, sensory deprivation, whatever else was happening in the environment as far as smells and things that we don't know, noises. He could have been in a dark cellar and heard people arguing and banging across the floor, which I actually think is a legit part of Charlie's past. But so you need to take a good look at your family and be realistic about it. Also, if you have small children and you're getting a dog for your children, think they're not going to be small children all the time. A lot of times teenagers don't want to be with the little white fluffy dog that they loved when they were 5 years old. Also, a lot of people, they have young children and they'll get a dog with a life expectancy of only 8 or 10 years old. And now you have to deal with this 12, 13, 14-year-old kid losing his dog, and you having to explain life and death to him, and of course everything they'll go through with grieving and mourning. So there's so many variables. So if you don't have a friend, close friend, or family member that's an experienced dog owner that might be able to help you, reach out to some of the professionals. Most professionals will sit with you for half an hour or an hour in your living room and not charge you anything. Because this is so important. This is the most important consideration for this dog's life. And I tell you, the thing I lose respect for people fastest are people who brought a dog that shouldn't be in that environment into that environment, and then that dog doesn't live a full and enriched life because of it. People who might be too old getting a high energy young dog that has to hike or be on a beach every day, or they get too lazy a dog for their active lifestyle, too big a dog for their apartment. They live on the third floor, yet they have a dog that needs to go out more often. So you have to take all these things into consideration, and then even more so than that, you have to investigate breed traits. There are breeds that will fit every single thing you are and you do, and it doesn't matter where you're listening to this or how far this message goes out. There's breeds that will fit into your lifestyle. Or ages. You might get a breed and adopt them at 5 years old as opposed to a puppy. There's so many things. And you would do every professional in this business honor if you called us to your home to speak to us. Now, and before, please don't do it. I know, my phone's going off. I know who that is and I know what she's yelling about. Don't flood but that might not be a bad seminar type of thing to do. So maybe we just thought of something good. Did you hear that part of it, hon? Did you hear that part of it? So but at least consult, go online, do your research, talk to people, get to know a dog that you're interested in, see their environment. If their environment is unlike yours, that dog will not react the same. Everybody's environment, your home, your surroundings, the comings and goings of your home, the unique circumstances of your home are different, and it will affect your dog. And don't get a dog that needs to run and keep him in a third floor apartment. Don't do it.
In fact, recently in the town that we work in, there was a situation where a family got a German Shepherd puppy. Mom and Dad work a lot. They have the kids taking care of the dog. They keep the dog crated most of the time in an isolated area, and the dog has reached an age now where he's starting to feel his oats. He's nervous around other dogs. He's possibly protecting his own children. That's what German Shepherds do, and has attacked a couple of dogs in the neighborhood, and is now considered to be Cujo by all the neighbors, but that's another story. It's a situation where a family got a breed that they
probably weren't prepared for, or if they were, they weren't able to provide for that dog what he needs. It sounds to me, and I haven't talked to the people, I don't know the dog, so I'm speaking just out of conjecture. I do know people in the neighborhood. I have many customers. I trust their opinion. They're experienced dog owners who've given me some information. And I must say that these people are really trying to do the right thing. Whatever happened to this point, I don't know, but they're trying to do the right thing. And I think the ACO of our community did a great job, because if you think about what an ACO's duties, she couldn't represent the dog. She wouldn't just represent the people, and she shouldn't ignore the law. So she had to walk that fine line between all three things. And I think she did a great job coming up with reasonable suggestions for going forward for the dog. I think that she looked at all three of those concerns: the dog, the family, the neighbors, the law, and I think she did a great job with it. And I think that dog and that family eventually will be better off. But also, I got to say, and I'm as much a member of this community as the people who live in that community, and I'm pretty disappointed at what I heard at that meeting that I went to. There was one dog owner who, and did we say we weren't going to, I don't care.
Yeah, we have to be a little bit careful, but there was one dog,
All right,
the owner of a breed that's entirely opposite and low maintenance from a German Shepherd.
Right.
Who seemed to think that they were the expert on German Shepherds and what should be done, and the suggestion of euthanizing a 9-month-old German Shepherd, a puppy basically, was their solution. which
I don't understand how any dog owner, and what I'm most disappointed about is I don't know of anybody that, outside of one of my customers that I talk to, that's knocked on that door or talked to those people and say, listen, you got a problem. I'm a dog owner too. Where can I help? What can we do here in the neighborhood to help? What can we do to help you guys? This is a beautiful, innocent baby dog that is just becoming what his environment has created. And once they adjust that environment, they're going to adjust that dog.
and
So-
hopefully, this is going to work out, and the family is now going to get that belated education
Right,
on
right,
how
right,
to work with this dog.
right.
And this is an example of what happens commonly. People get a breed, and they maybe in the past they owned a lower maintenance dog that wasn't as active, that wasn't as protective, didn't have tendencies to go get unleashed
And
with other dogs. German Shepherds, don't get one if you're not planning on
it is
working
the most
with a trainer.
It's the most adaptable dog you're gonna have. It can do anything. It's like a pit bull. It can do anything. But if you can't expose that dog to many things like running free, running off leash, chasing a ball, playing with other dogs, then it's not the dog for you. Now I have one, and he's my pride and joy. I love this dog. He's my hero. He's found 2 puppies and helped on a 3rd. He's my hero. So he's one of my heroes. We're going to talk about another one of my heroes later. But so please qualify that dog, qualify your life, be realistic, and think future too. You're going to have that dog in 12, 14, 16, 18 years. Especially with breeding now, some of the breeds are living much longer. So please think of the future and now, okay? And well, just watch out for the seminar I'm going to end up having sooner or later.
Oh, I know.
I would love to do that. That would be pretty cool.
But,
That'd be good.
Go to a professional and consult with them before you adopt a dog, or bring them to the shelter. To tell them what your lifestyle is. Explain to them your wants and not wants, and or if you're going to a breeder, getting a purebred, work with a trainer and get their advice on that as well. And it may not be what you want, but in the long term, it's better for a dog not to be with the wrong family, and better for the family not to be with the wrong dog.
I'd rather see you get a cat than get the wrong dog into the wrong lifestyle.
And this is how we end up with so many dogs, homeless dogs in shelters, is people just couldn't. A lot of people, they meant well. They just couldn't handle the dog anymore. And where does the dog end up? The dog ends up suffering. They're either euthanized, severely damaged, end up in a shelter.
They run away.
Run away
because their environment they can't stand. They run away, or something they're not exposed to is on the other side of the street, and that's what they run to. The list of tragedies is endless. The stories is endless about people bringing the wrong dog into their home. So please just qualify it. Talk to professionals. Listen. Do your research. Do the breed trait research. Try to meet it 1 or 2. Maybe call the local rescues or call the rescues for that breed. Talk to those people. They can give you a lot of information about breed traits and what to expect and what to stay away from, because they've got the dogs that people have turned in. So they'd be happy to tell you, especially most rescues now are breed specific, so that there'll be experts on the breed.
And that's basically it. Just and also you can get a lot of you can get a lot of information nowadays on the internet. Read, research the breed.
Look at the pictures. Watch how big that dog gets. Many people love the looks of Great Dane on the 3rd floor, and now the dog is outgrowing the apartment.
Right. And also it's kind of like food shopping when you're hungry. It's natural to desire a certain kind of dog, or a certain breed of dog, or a certain size of dog, but is it realistic? And if you're shopping while you're hungry, is it realistic to go to the candy section and all the sweets or ice cream, or is it realistic to
Is that wrong?
No, I get
Is
for
that
some
wrong?
people, I guess it's not wrong. I've done it myself, but you know, do your research and don't go in too hungry and eager without doing that, because you end up, you know, in the supermarket, you end up getting fat with a dog. You end up with a broken heart and in a sad dog.
Why don't you tell everybody what you do in the dog business? Because Carm and I come from two different ends of the dog business, and we're both very hands-on. Carm goes into people's houses all day long and sees these dogs that are left alone for God knows how many hours, and she can tell you, what do you find when you walk into the house and you see a dog that's been there since 7 o'clock?
Well, yeah. I mean, we walk, we sit, we do different things with whatever people want us to do. Outside of, we don't train. If somebody has a problem dog, I refer them to Rocco, because Rocco can just get into their heads. He knows how to do it, and he comes up with better solutions that are not going to damage the dog further. But when I walk into a home where a dog's been sitting there and they don't know me that well, we deal with dogs that, you know, you go to put their leash on and they're baring teeth and you know, they're just, what do you learn over time? I mean, we dealt with fosters too, and rescue is always move slowly and connect with that dog and be firm, but move slow, you know, moving around slowly, but they're all different.
Their personality is just like people. There's no two dogs alike.
Yeah, and sometimes a dog just doesn't. It's like people. For some reason, you don't like somebody, or for some reason, you're very drawn to somebody. Dogs are the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
And each other, and to other dogs, just like people are to people. And I'm more drawn to dogs than people. I know that.
And in another show, if we continue to do these broadcasts, which we hope to do on a monthly basis, we'll go into that more. Or you can call us and ask questions on how to deal with certain
You can
things.
send questions to us during the week to our Facebooks, and there'll be another Facebook page
Or even
up.
now.
You're right. Even now, you can send them in now.
I'm looking at the Facebook page, trying to look at the questions. I'm trying to scroll down here, and I'm not sure how to do it. I might have to do it from my phone. So, you know, you can ask the questions
Yeah. We can
on
answer a couple
Facebook,
more.
or you can give us a call. Our number here is 502-501-3477 or 502-501-3477. You can give us a call here on the show as well if you prefer phone. Some people prefer internet. Some people prefer phone. And we will do our best to answer your questions and concerns right here on the show, right?
Yeah.
Rocco's the guy. I mean, you could ask him any question in the world, because we did when we were dealing with
Well, I don't know about any
Charlie.
question. I'm still learning. I'm like every other trainer.
He's
Behaviorist,
always
I'm
got
still
no.
learning.
You've seen a lot,
I've seen a lot.
and you've worked with. What is one of your what is one of your most challenging experiences with training a
You mean
dog?
specifics or in general? Like,
With a specific. I love stories.
Jesus. It's always the people. It's always the people. I mean, I don't care how old the dog is and what the issue is. I can train the dog in 1/10 the time I can train the people. But the hardest thing is to make the people understand that something they're doing is causing their dog to do X. It's a reaction. It's not necessarily an action. You know, I literally had a person who walked around and all day sucked their teeth, you know. And every time they did it, their dog would like jump. And then it advanced from there and there. Then it started to try to bite the guy. He thought
Was the dog just simply annoyed by the...
Probably. It was annoying me in the short time I'd been with him.
Yeah.
So, but the fact is I
Pretty
kept telling
annoying.
him, you've got to stop that. You're creating this. You're making your dog very nervous, and it's causing him to do this behavior. And he wouldn't, and he wouldn't, and he wouldn't. And then he ended up, unfortunately, going into the hospital for about a month. And the dog wasn't exposed to that clicking. 3/4 of the behaviors were gone by the time he got out of there. And it wasn't from training. It was from the absence of the clicking.
So what was the outcome? Did he... I mean, that's a habit,
Oh, the
right?
guy's
That's
dead
like
now. The guy's dead now.
Oh.
That's the outcome. He died. So I couldn't resist. No, the outcome. Well, then we did some training with the dog, and the man realized that what he was doing was causing his dog to react the way he was, and some other things also that were worse than that. And now the dog's great, healthy, doing well. So, so that people, I want people to know this about us, especially if you're going to start following us and know this about me more specifically. I tell all my people this that I train a dog. I tell them at the first night I meet them, because it's important to know I don't have a bunch of letters after my name as a canine behaviorist. This is all instinct for me and experience. One of my aunts told me a couple years ago that she remembers me training my first dog at 13 years old. I don't remember training it. I thought it was just like with it, being a boy with this dog. And another uncle of mine asked me if I remembered a dog that he had when I was like 8 or 10. I don't remember how old I was, but I remember the dog name, that she only had one blue eye, all this stuff about it, and he was really amazed. So this is a thing for me that's a blessing, some gift I'm given. I've never studied under anybody. I don't open books about behavior. I don't want it to skew my instincts. I do investigate breed traits and that type of stuff. And this stuff I don't know. I communicate with other people who do have letters after their name, are published to doctors. I call myself a living room behaviorist, because I'm training dogs to actually be in a family, and that specific family. So my training is more for real life behaviors, activities, whatever, as opposed to the theory and the philosophy. I only probably know 3 or 4 book terms. Really, I don't know more than that, and I don't need to. And I can get in on dogs and train them where other behaviorists haven't even been able to get in the house. And I don't say that bragging. I'm not trying to brag, because this humbles the daylights out of me. It's like some crazy stuff happening.
This is true.
But how many people tried to help Charlie with his stuff, right?
This is so true. Charlie had been from foster to foster. The head of the rescue took him in. She's watching TV one night. Charlie's relaxing on the bed with her. Went to reach for the clicker. Bam. Big bite. Major. He attacked her. We ended up with him, and honestly, we worked with him, and he connected a little. This dog was so detached and untrusting of humans.
You guys
he
were
was
scared
damaged.
to death of him when you came in.
we were pretty nervous around him.
And Charlie was suffering for it.
And he was suffering, and we were suffering, and that's where we brought Rocco in. And when I tell you that when Rocco walked into that house, he instantly, Charlie and Rocco instantly, they meshed, they connected. It was the first time we had ever seen Charlie respond to another another human in that way. He was connected. He wanted to please. He wanted to be a good dog. He wanted to work with Rocco. And I've never encountered that with any other trainer. And some folks, some trainers, it's just they can just get into the head of that animal and connect. And Rocco you have that natural ability.
Many other behaviorists do too. I come across, and I've talked to a lot of people who, and I see it in some little kids who want to be vets or want to be trainers, and the way they gravitate towards me and the work. And I actually put them to work in the family. There's one family I have, 10-year-old girl. She's training dogs in 2 different family members' homes. And I give her the exercises to do, and she's a little dynamo. Oh, by the way, hi, E. I keep forgetting to say hello to Elaine. Hi, Elaine. This is the 3rd show up. I don't say hello to her.
Oh, no.
And then there's Sydney, and if I start naming kids, I'm going to forget some, so I can't do that. Just all my kids. How you doing? We're going to be putting you guys to work pretty soon, so pay attention.
And the kids children tend to be more enthusiastic about that. And
more natural.
They want to learn, and they want to work. They want to connect with their dog.
Right.
That must be a big problem that you have. I know that when we worked with Rocco, he left us with a lot of homework, and it's not easy. You have to be consistent. Everybody in the household has to be consistent with the dog in training. You have to follow. You have to do the homework.
And I took you guys out of your comfort zone.
We absolutely.
In your comfort zone, it couldn't get done. So you had to come out, and you did. You guys did insane work there. That's not just my work. It's yours and Michael's work. And without that work, that couldn't get done.
It's work, and that goes for everybody. And I think that's a part of the problem. Some of the problems that you've encountered are you can go in and work with the dog, but if the family isn't isn't working with the dog, then nothing's going to gel.
And I
Nothing's
don't
gonna
train
stick.
dogs like that. I tell people, and this is a mandate, if you're going to be involved in my program, is you have to be owner involved. My program's very owner involved because it's the best thing for the dog. But even more importantly, it's the only way sometimes to get the dog from point A to point B. I'm going to introduce it to him. I'm going to teach it to him, pros and cons, and I'm going to be his leader and get him through it. But if you guys aren't reinforcing it between my visits and just go back to the same old habits that caused the behavior, I can't undo the behavior.
Yep.
So it's very important that the people, and if you've hired a trainer and you're not working them, you're getting ripped off. And not because the trainer's not doing the job, but because you're supposed to be there and you're supposed to be getting this information too. You know, I don't subscribe at all to the training method of training the dog and bring the dog back to the family and spending 4 hours with the family telling them about how to do this and how to prompt this and how to cue this. No, they got to be there along the way because it's the best thing for the dog. And then that relationship between the dog and the human is so much deeper, excuse me, and better connected.
Yep.
So it's very important that you be there to train and be with your dog when they're learning so you can learn your side of it.
We've all heard horror stories of, at least in rescue, maybe not the average person, but in rescue and following up with other rescues and people that worked in that field and trainers. And eventually, here and there, you hear stories, horror stories, where people send their dogs
To the
off
boot camps.
to training. They send them to a trainer, whether it's 2 towns away or hundreds of miles away. They will send their dog away, and not in all cases, but in many cases, something bad happens.
And in some cases, that's the best option because you have to control every aspect of the environment. So that's the best. Like with this shepherd back home, it's probably better that shepherd be there so they can kind of, for lack of a better way to put it, undo what's already been done and then start new. And then give the people. So that's a little different.
Well, they're doing an evaluation.
Yeah,
so
that's first.
Kind of, yeah.
I think he's going to evaluate good. I don't think that. I haven't met this dog, but from what I heard, I don't think he's going to evaluate poorly. I think he's going to be a good candidate.
In
for
this case, like Rocco was saying, it does work, but there's oversight there. Animal control, Marblehead Police Department. The whole town is involved in this, and they went out and they found a reputable trainer who has experience with this specific breed, which is German Shepherd, is going to do the observation.
And has an environment where they can control everything and then introduce stimuli into the environment slowly so that the dog can reacclimate to this stuff. And it's a good move here, and I think this dog and his family is going to do well.
So there are exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
But ultimately the dog, hopefully if the dog is returned to the family, they are going to at that point have to do the work with the trainer. That is actually in the agreement with the town.
Right.
That's actually written up.
Right.
That the family has to do the work with the trainer, and so it's people getting trained. We get trained, not just the dog, and we have to do the work, and that's hard.
Bane of my existence.
So
People.
I hope that
And so
people
far.
that are tuning into the show that are contemplating getting a dog. And aren't an experienced dog owner are taking this to heart, that you really have to, it's work.
And put it off for another month or two. Hopefully we're gonna have another show or two in that time. You don't want to get a puppy in the middle of winter because you're housebreaking that thing in the dead of winter with all the cold. Wait till spring, and we're gonna probably do a show or two, or at least a couple segments of a show or two on how to find the right dog, how to qualify your home and your family. Or if you do want to do it now, consult a professional that's not us. It doesn't have to be us, but somebody.
My vote is on Rocco. Rocco's the best. I just swear by him, and it's funny.
If only.
Because
only.
around town, people will say, "Oh, my dog's doing this or that," and as soon as I'm about to say, "Hey, call Rocco," Rocco's business is Canine Castle. Half the people are stopping on the street. Rocco, he worked with my dog.
Well, with a name like Rocco, it doesn't
No,
just.
but
It's not like.
he knows what he's doing. So but he's always 4 months behind in bookings.
But
too.
there's other very, very good behaviorists and trainers out there. So and I'm kind of restricted to my area. So please, either wait for the DVDs or the television show, or whatever's coming next. I don't know, but there's help out there for you. So please, for that dog you're gonna get or that dog you have, please get it. You have to consider financials too when you take a dog. You have to account for some of this stuff. So budget it in. You miss a weekend vacation, maybe pays for the training.
I just got a call, Michael, our producer. I just got a call from a listener who's unable to call in. Are our phone lines up? I'm going to give no phone lines today? Oh, no, we don't have phone lines. So, oh, boy.
If you can, text it to the Facebook page or wherever you're watching it from, and we'll answer it if we can.
If you're watching, there should be, isn't there a space underneath with people on Facebook? You can ask the questions. Let me see where we are. There we are. Okay, there are comments. Okay. We have some, let's see if there are any questions
Thank you.
there.
I don't even want to know what they are now. I really don't. You can read them if you want.
I
Don't
know,
tell
I'm
me.
not able to get to them. One sec.
I'm way too self-conscious right now to. This isn't radio.
No. Okay, Rocco, tell us another example of or what would you suggest? Okay, if folks, what breeds would you suggest for folks that are looking for a low maintenance dog? What breed would you suggest for folks? Or breeds for people that are active?
There's so many considerations, and there's so many breeds now and cross breeds. Oh my God, they're breeding everything with poodles nowadays. So there's really no way that I could advise like in this setting. If somebody were to send in a bunch of criteria, I'd be able to suggest to them what a good breed would be. But do think about all the things we've talked about: the future, the financials, your activity, your children. If you're empty nesters, you got to consider that. Are you planning on moving? Do you think an elderly parent is going to move in? You have to think of all of those things. And then do your breed research or talk to a professional that can point you in the right direction.
I'm noticing, okay, I've got the thing up. The folks are trying to call in Mindy Draper. If you want, I noticed that you typed a comment in here. You can, where you put the comment is where we can see your question. So if you want to just ask your question in the Facebook comment section, I'm watching while Rocco's talking, and I'll give you the questions so that you can focus on. So one of the things you mentioned just now are people that are not settled into one place, or they're renters. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say this because I have friends that are renters, but I get I love them, but they tend to adopt pets as renters, and then the building got sold and they have to move, and they can't find a place to move with their dogs and their cats, and right. This is an ongoing problem. That's something that's really serious, right. in considering.
Huge. A big portion of the dogs that are turned in because of changes in housing. The new landlord won't allow a dog, or they're moving someplace far, they can't take the dog, or their job, they're not going to be able to take the dog.
Right.
And then a lot of those dogs. So it's always prudent to have at least a family member or a close friend that in case of your incapacitation or something happening would be interested in taking that dog. Now that's a luxury, don't get me wrong. I can't think of many of my family members that would take 300 pounds of dog that I have in my house, but I'll tell you, they take them before they take me, to tell you the truth. But that's a prudent thing to do. If you got a cockatoo, what do they live to 120 years? You got to will those birds. So, think this is a living thing. You've taken it into your house. You're going to love this like you love your children, and a lot of times more than you love your own children. So you've got to be practical about it. But
dogs are not throwaway, nor cats, any kind of pet.
Right.
They are not disposable. If you adopt, invest like you would your children.
That's a good bumper sticker right there. You just came up with, if you're going to adopt, invest. I like that.
So Corey Beaver, Will Blue be a guest on the next episode?
If not the next, probably the one when we bring Kristen on.
Tell us about Blue.
Okay, so Blue is my German Shepherd. I actually trained him for somebody else, there was a situation where he moved and he couldn't have Blue. And Blue is a specimen. He's a beautiful 94-pound German Shepherd, 7.5 years old, just a specimen. Corey's actually my nephew, in full interest of full disclosure. He loves Blue. Oh. He thinks I'm willing Blue to him. Because he figures I got 1 foot in the grave, he's going to get Blue. But Blue is, when we got him, my lifestyle is a little different, and I need dogs for different reasons. We have a lot of dogs coming up, and I use Blue to train with. I used Lakota, my other dog, at one time to train with more aggressive dogs. I use Blue to train with puppies. When we're out in the woods, I'll take him with me, and if the puppy runs off, I'll send him after him, and he'll shepherd the puppy back to me. And I've seen him do it.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. But Blue did the most amazing thing I've ever seen him do, and I didn't train for this. But do you remember the winter we got like 10 feet of snow all in February?
Oh, yes.
We had just got Blue. That was our first winter with Blue. And we couldn't get out much. I mean, just period, you couldn't get out much. So my fiance asked me, what can we teach him? What can I do with him in the house? I said, teach him find it. And I gave her a point or two, but not much. And she would take some object, maybe a salami sandwich, and touch a couple places and leave a trail, hide it, and send Blue to get it. Well, there was about a year later, there was a puppy missing in a huge snowstorm. It was terrible. It was an April 1st snowstorm. And this puppy had been operated on Monday, adopted Wednesday, got loose on Thursday because the man was walking casually. He never had a dog before, and the dog yanked right out of his hand, ran down the street. We got called in on Saturday. And, you know, this was a bad storm, and this puppy is sick, and it's frail, and it's young. And I says, all hands on deck. All my people that work with me came. And by the way, hi girls. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you. Anyway, so where it was all hands on deck, I brought Blue. And I'm tearing up. Sorry, because it's so. What this dog did, he saved that baby's life. He found that baby in 3 minutes. She was trailing a leash behind her, and we verified a paw print because we saw the 1-inch strap running next to a couple paw prints. So I said, we're going to try find it. Don't know if this is going to work. We're going to try find it. I put his nose in the hole. I said, Blue, find it. And the tracks went to the right, but he went to the left. I says, oh, man, it's not going to work. All of a sudden, he barreled past me, and he stopped about 30 yards ahead of me. That's his cue. He's on the trail. Yes. He did that 3-4 times, and then he took a position that I'd never seen before. So I actually thought there was a coyote in the bush that he was staring at. And he took about 30 seconds, and I sent him. Because if there is a coyote there, I want him to run him off anyway. So I sent him. And don't you know, the puppy came out the other side of the bush?
Amazing.
Absolutely amazing. And by the time we could actually catch up to the dog, it was like the next day. But we did get the dog. We were able to shepherd her and keep her safe. There was an embankment to Route 128 on one side, the Danvers River on the other side. And we were able to keep her contained in there and safe until we could actually capture her when her leash wrapped around a fallen
isn't that
tree.
Amazing?
There's pictures on I think the Danvers police have pictures of it. I think my Facebook page has when Blue met her after we took her out of the woods.
Yeah,
I had to let him.
Blue's a German Shepherd.
Yeah, his working name is Kaiser. When we're going to work him, when it's time to work, I call him Kaiser. But Blue is a German Shepherd, yes.
We've moved into this segment, what to do when you lose your dog. Rocco works with, this was an example of Rocco going out. He works with, you're working with Missing Dogs of Massachusetts.
That day that I just recounted was for Missing Dogs Massachusetts, yeah. And this, I referred to one of my heroes earlier. Kristen, the director of this area, is one of my heroes.
Mine too. I know Kristen.
To work with her, she's so inspiring. She's so brave. That we're walking through coyote country at 2 a.m, and she's looking back at me, telling me to hurry up. I mean, she's out in front. Yeah. She's out there setting up food traps. This is my hero. We're hoping to bring her on to interview her in one of the following shows.
And the finding a missing dog is like finding a needle in a haystack. But Kristen and Rocco, who's now working with her in Blue,
many others,
are now doing, and it's just fascinating to see this.
The name of her organization is Missing Dogs Mass. Okay, you can find them at missingdogsmass.com or .org. I used to know it.
I'll
Try
look it
them
up.
both. If it's not at one, it's at the other. I'm sorry. Please check out their website, because you never know when there's a dog missing in your community, and it's about eyes. It's about getting eyes out there. So if your dog is ever missing, before you even call your wife or your husband, call Missing Dogs Mass. Get them on it. They're going to have hundreds of volunteers in any area with eyes out. They have a poster, a master of their poster, that you just plug in the information. They'll get it out all over to police departments, to volunteers, to other lost dog organizations, because many work through Missing Dogs Mass too, that we've worked with apparently. I had an occasion just before Christmas that some old customers of mine were practicing. The gentleman was practicing with his dog, recall in a contained area, but the dog found a way out and ran away. And this was in near Salem Woods. Coyote activity was high. This was the only time I'd ever personally been involved with a loss, because I knew this dog. I trained this dog. I loved this dog. Thankfully, they called me. My first call was to Kristen, and I told him to do the same thing. Give me 2 minutes and him call her. And I got her on the job. And the people mobilizing to that point. By the grace of the goddess, the puppy came back to us. We just positioned ourselves in the right place, and knowing canine behavior, I knew what she was going to do. But I panicked a little. I freaked a little. I can only imagine what it's like if it was my dog lost, and I don't know where she is, and I don't know how I'm going to find her. So by all means, call missingdogsmass.com or org.
Well, they have a Facebook page too. They're on Facebook, Missing Dogs Mass, Massachusetts, and time is of the essence when you lose a pet, be it a cat, a dog. Dogs especially, because dogs travel fast in a short amount of time.
Right.
Cats tend to stay a little closer to home, but dogs move. We have a question here. Laurie. I'm Jane Garfield's old friend. Laurie.
Okay.
And her question is, does Rocco think that all dogs can be rehabilitated?
I'll cite this example for you. The Michael Vick dogs. Remember the Michael Vick pit bulls that were involved in that fighting ring? They took 100 dogs, and they tried to rehab 100 dogs. They rehabbed and rehomed at 99 out of 100 dogs, and one had to be put down. So that's how I'll answer that question. I mean, that's a perfect example. Those dogs were involved in fighting and subsequently killing dogs, etc., which I think is the worst sin on the face of the earth, fighting dogs. But
so there are examples where
every dog,
some dogs cannot be rehabbed.
No, 1 out of 100.
Okay.
Maybe even better than that. But in that case, I haven't encountered one. I've only encountered one dog that I couldn't handle with the resources I have and that I use. She needed resources greater than mine, but other than that. So I do believe that, I think every dog pretty much can be rehabbed. Now, do you have to change the environment? What do you have to change to rehab the dog? You got to be prepared to do that. But you can, I believe, Laurie, everybody can.
Mindy Draper wanted to ask, thanks to Michael Crawford, by the way, for getting these questions to me. She wanted to know the differences in the doodle dogs.
We're at the end of this show. You should ask that question at the beginning. There's as many differences as you can imagine, and even if they come from the same litter, there's differences, and I can't even tell. But you do want to research size. That's very important, because I would think they all have a high energy. They're all pretty smart, or a little bit above average smart. They do great with kids. They do great in just about any setting. But energy release is huge. If you can't get that dog out off leash, playing with other dogs, don't get them. Don't get it.
The doodles.
The doodles.
There are different, as Mindy would say, there are different types.
Yeah.
The doodles. There are the little ones, the cockadoodles, the
are
goldie
they
doodles.
bred with standard poodles that have more of an attitude than the Moyen poodles? So you got to see what the golden is bred with, or the lab is bred with, and you want to find an established bloodline. It's better if a doodle is mating with a doodle as opposed to a poodle mating with a lab, or how close to that it is in the lineage. And that's one of the ones where you want to look at other customers' reviews. Because they're really overproducing those dogs now because there's such a huge demand. And we're starting to see it in some of the lines. I'm sure you are too, where health isn't as good, hips aren't as good, length of life isn't as good. But there are many reputable breeders out there who do it right. And that's where you should buy your doodle if you're going to buy a doodle. But before you do that, check with the local rescues. As many as they're producing, as many people as they're getting them, there's that many being turned in. So, I believe every breed just about has a rescue specific to their breed. Get online, more research, talk to people, maybe even talk to a breeder who's done with breeding a dog. Because very many times it's better to get an older dog, 4 or 5 years old. So a reputable breeder's done with their breeders 4 or 5 years old, and they're looking for homes for them. So those are sometimes good dogs to get.
That's good to know.
That
is very good to know.
Right.
I think that Mindy's question was good because I've seen other people online ask the same thing.
Sure.
They
really
want
complicated question though, very detailed question. Just before we wrap up, I'm gonna bring up, this is a political show that we hijacked tonight, so this is the place to put this. We're interested over the coming months to enact 2 pieces of legislation. And I know there's some politicians, local politicians, state politicians that listen to this show that follow Michael pretty intently. We'd like to, and these are 2 worthwhile causes, and if you're a politician worth your salt, every dog owner, every pet owner will vote for you for being involved in this. Do we want to put the 2 things out there?
Yes.
2 things. We want to start a no adoption list for anybody who's abused a dog or been convicted of anything like that. There's many details to work out. I'm no politician. I'm a dog guy. So we want to get a couple politicians. And the second one is California just passed it where they're not allowed to sell breeder dogs. And I believe breeder cats too. Don't hold me to that one, please. I should have done better research. I'm sorry. In pet stores. We'd like to try to enact that here in Massachusetts. If you're a national politician, I'd love to work on it nationally. I don't care whether you're liberal or conservative, and I do for everything else.
As Amy mentioned last night, Rocco's fiance, what is the big issue with, selling, dogs from breeders in the pet stores? And I got her point right away because there are a lot of reputable breeders. Here's the deal. Pet stores do not buy from reputable breeders. They buy from puppy mills because it's a mass production line. Right. It's bring them in, sell them. If you can't sell them all, kill them.
Right.
So the puppy mills are the bigger problem than the pet stores, and that.
But the pet stores facilitate it. They allow the puppy mills to exist.
Allow the puppy mills to exist,
right.
And it's a racket. And it's just a horrible, horrible life for any puppy mill dog. So that's the answer.
Come. Charlie, come.
All right, we're going to wind up now. We've been informed. Our time is up.
Come on, get up here. Come on.
We want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Rocco's getting Charlie up here to say goodnight. And we also, once again, want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is our debut show. We hope that you enjoyed it. We're still a little rough around the edges, although I thought Rocco was fabulous because Rocco could talk dog all day, and everything he says.
All I talk.
Everything, Canine, everything he says makes sense. Thanks once again to Mike Crawford of the Young Jurks for allowing us to do our presentation, our canine presentation tonight on the Young Jurks show.
I got kisses. You get kisses?
Thanks to Brian Murphy and Michael Dubé of Disrupt Boston, and also Down the Road Beer Company for allowing us to use their facilities to broadcast this show from. And that's Down the Road Beer Company in Everett, Mass. And
thank you very much. Yeah,
and most of all, thanks for everybody for tuning in. And we will keep you in touch on the Rocco. If you're not a member of the Canine Castle page, join. That is Rocco's page, and we will keep you informed there and also on the Young Jurks page as to when our next show will be. We're hoping in a month, and we're hoping to move forward with us. Give us your feedback on tonight's show. Was it too much information? Not enough information? Did you not like my outfit? Did
I liked your outfit. I think your outfit looks
Thank
great.
you. Did you like Charlie? I'll bet you did.
Charlie's the star of the
And
show.
thanks again for tuning in.
Thank
We're
you.
going to
Love your dog. Love you. Be the person your dog thinks you are. I love that bumper sticker.
yes. Thank you.
Hey.
Good night.
Hey, good night.
Don't wanna complicate ya.